honored to have our dear guest speaker for today, Mufti Minhaj. I'm sure many of you already know him, the Imam, the senior Imam at Dar es-Salaam. Alhamdulillah, he came to our masjid a few years ago to deliver the Fiqh of Zakat seminar. Alhamdulillah, he did a fantastic job. It was quite interactive. You know, sometimes people think Fiqh of Zakat can be a dry subject, but mashallah, everyone was engaged. I remember when he had that session, and we are honored to have him again. Without further ado, Mufti Minhaj.
Can I have the laptop, right?
Yeah, I'll give you the clicker. The clicker.
Oh, okay.
Because the laptop's connected, the USB is kind of. So let me.
How does this work? Like this way?
Just like you.
Like this way, huh? Or the other way?
Either way, just whatever you. Should work. Okay. Yes, it works.
So if I have to, I can just look from here what's, because there's nothing for me to see, right? I have to just, wait. Hello, yeah. Oh, this is working.
This is to record for the phone. It's working. Yeah, it's on. It's on.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد. The screen will be a very major part of the presentation. Should I sit there so that people, I want them like 90% of the time they're going to have to look at the screen. Is it possible we can sit there? Under the screen? Because everyone's going to be looking. So let us, this was our Qibla of Salah, the presentation of Qibla will be the screen.
Assalamu alaikum.
So sorry about making you move. Some of you just tilted your phone side. Okay. So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa kafa wa salamun ala ibadihi alladhina istafa amma ba'd. I know this has been a long day. It was a working day, Friday, Yawm al-Jum'ah, Sayyid al-Ayyam. Very great day. But I was requested to speak on this topic, and there is a lot of information. Biggest question I have in my mind is how much do I take out to make it short? Because there is much we can learn on this topic. So I will giving you a heads up. Some of the slides I will have to skip over because I want to get to the most important part, and that would be the Q&A, so that you have an opportunity to ask the questions that are on your mind. Without further ado, let's jump straight into it. Okay, so this is an overview, a brief agenda of the topics that we're going to cover. As you see, what is zakat? One, number two, zakat in Quran and Hadith, spiritual significance of zakat. Imam Asfar has covered this in the Jum'ah today. So even if we have just short-term memory, it should be there from the Jum'ah. Majority of the audience, I believe, pray Jum'ah here. Maybe some of you worked other places, missed it, so you can go back and listen to the recording. Is it on YouTube, live stream, right? So there must be a recording, inshallah. Alhamdulillah, that's great. To catch up on the spiritual significance of zakah. Number four, who is required to give? So there is a mu'ti, the one who is giving. What are the conditions? So who is required to give? And number five, how does the calendar work? Like, when is it due? The zakat calendar. This is itself a topic. Number six, which assets are liable for zakat? In short, we call it zakatable assets. Do we give zakat on everything? Or there are certain assets which are zakatable and certain assets which may not be non-zakatable. That will be covered. Six, who are the beneficiaries of zakat? So there are certain individuals who are liable to give, and likewise there are individuals that are permitted to receive, right? They are approved beneficiaries. So they're mustahiq of receiving zakat, the Arabic word. And it's wajib upon certain individuals to give, and it is permissible for certain individuals to accept. And number 8 is the practicals. So we will have a few exercises we will do together. So those who are paying attention, inshallah, they should do well at the end. Right? Inshallah. And yeah, so I was telling my friend here that I didn't necessarily choose the subject nor the time. So it sometimes can be a bit overwhelming. So I don't want to go too fast, but we have to cover the material as well. Next slide, right? Purity. So what is zakat? Every single word in the Sharia, there's a lughi meaning, a literal meaning in the dictionary, and then there's an istilahi meaning, which is the technical meaning in the specific science. So zakat has a lughi meaning, which is purity, blessing, growth, praise. And there are examples of this where purity, purification, like tazkiyatul qalb, purifying the heart, comes from the same root word. And it's a blessing. There's growth. يقول العرب زكى الزرع إذا نما, as Qurtubi rahmatullah alayhi mentions under the tafsir of the ayat of zakat, that zakah zar'u means the crops have grown. So zakat comes in the meaning of growth. And then it also comes in the meaning of praise. There's always a connection between the literal meaning and the terminological meaning. So when a person gives zakat, that will purify his heart from the love of wealth, purify his wealth as well. There will be blessing. It will increase as well, the growth, and it will be worthy of praise. People will praise the individual on the receiving end, those who are receiving it. And Allah will praise the individual on the Yawm al-Hashr as well. And then we have transfer of ownership. Right. Transfer. I just want to make sure that the slide you are able to see the next one when I click it. So there is transfer of ownership. This is the Shari'i meaning. تمليك بعض مال جزما عينه الشارع لفقير مسلم لله تعالى. That there's a transfer of ownership of a portion of one's specified wealth to a deserving individual for the sake of Allah. So there's a lot of things going on in this translation. You know, the translations, they always have to be it's an evolving situation, mashallah. We're going from Hasan to Ahsan, from good to better, inshallah, better, best. Okay, so we have look, every definition is what? جامع and مانع. جامع لأفراده مانع من دخول غيره. It is a comprehensive definition. So it's transfer of ownership, meaning there is a person giving zakat, the money has to leave his possession. And it has to enter into the possession of the recipient. Of a portion of one's wealth. Portion, what is a portion? We know that, 2.5%. 1 out of 40, 2.5%. Specified wealth. Specified meaning, as we're going to come to see, that there are zakatable and non-zakatable. So the specified wealth. To a deserving individual. You can't give it to any individual. The individual who is receiving it must be a deserving individual, which is something objective. It's not a subjective thing where, hey, I think this guy's deserving, that one's not deserving. There are certain criteria for who is a deserving individual. Then we have, subhanAllah, I just see that we are already in the ayats. The entire time I was talking about this definition. Okay, now pay attention. So this is transfer of ownership. Now we see the definition I was talking about, transfer of ownership. The ownership is being transferred from the one who's giving the money to the one who's receiving it. Portion is 2.5%. Specified wealth, zakatable assets, to a deserving individual, the one who the Sharia says is deserving. Some ayats about it. Allah Ta'ala talks about aqimu salata wa atu zakah. Establish prayer and give the zakat. وَارْكَعُوا مَعَ الرَّاكِعِينَ. So we see that Allah Ta'ala brackets these two pillars together repeatedly in the Quran. Aqimu salah and atu zakah. Salah being pinnacle of ibadah badaniya, physical worship. Salah being ibadah maliya, financial obligations. So salah is physical ibadah and zakat is mali ibadah, financial. And then you have hajj, which is murakkabun baynahuma. It's a hybrid. So you have like pure electric cars, gas car, engine, and then you have the hybrids. So Hajj is hybrid. How is it hybrid? Because you have to spend money to go there. And also, you got to physically make the tawaf, you got to physically make the sa'i. If you're capable, you can't just pay someone to do it. Hajj badal that's only for a person who physically can't make it. Anyway, that's why salah and zakat are together. Then we see Baqarah 274. الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ those who spend min amwalihim from their wealth, bilayli wan-nahar, they spend in the night and spend in the day, sirran wa alaniya, in private and in public. Right? لَهُمْ أَجْرُهُمْ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ, they will have the reward with their Lord. وَلَا خَوْفٌ عَلَيْهِمْ, no fear for them, nor وَلَا هُمْ يَحْزُنُونَ, nor any grief. Fear is regarding the future, no apprehension for future stages, and no grief for the past. حُزُنْ عَلَى مَا فَاتَ, and خوف عَلَى مَا سَيَكُونَ. One important thing here is that in private and in public, when is it more rewarding to give privately, and when is it more rewarding to give publicly? So when you want to hide the identity of the recipient, because he is walking around in the society and community, respectable individual, but he is hit with some huge tragedy at home, and he doesn't want to let everyone know what has happened. If you find out, you give it to him privately. You don't have to tell everyone, I'm giving this individual. And then on the other hand, there is a project like the expansion project. Everybody knows when they see the project that it requires funds. So you don't have to hide the fact that the IFN Masjid, the expansion, needs money. So you can publicly give, with the intention being to encourage others. The intention should not be to get a plaque, right, or to have one hall named after you and your family, but rather for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when we give sadaqah to the masjid, that is. Then we have in Sahih Bukhari and Muslim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentioned in the Sahihain, this muttafaqun alayhi, rigorously authenticated hadith, that Allah has made the payment of zakat obligatory upon them, and it should be collected from the rich and distributed among the poor. So one interesting istidlal or point derived from this is tu'khadu min aghniyaihim. It is taken from the wealthy of a particular community and is given back fuqara'ihim, to the poor of that community. So ideally, every country, they should, the rich of every area should take care of the poor of that area. Of course, there are exceptions. If there is a tragedy somewhere else, which unfortunately is always the case nowadays, it's just changing from one place to other place. So helping them out may take precedence. But generally, the system that was there ideally is that in every region, the poor are taken care of by the rich of that same place. The spiritual significance of zakat: it purifies one's soul from greed, purifies one's wealth from impurities. It acts as a bridge between the rich and the poor, bringing them closer together, fosters solidarity within the community. Right? Just one side note on this, I'm going to go fast, but I can't skip this one, is the fact that, subhanAllah, I think it was around 15-20 years ago when there was a big earthquake in one particular region, and there was relief efforts for that, and there was a fundraiser, and every time I want to study something new, so I said, I was reading different ayats and tafsirs to prepare for the fundraising speech for the earthquake victims, and I came across this ayah, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la tubtilu sadaqatikum bil manni wal adha. Something I read then, it just was so profound, it stuck with me, it really impacted me. The ayah is, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O those who believe, la tubtilu sadaqatikum. Do not invalidate, make ibtal, cancel out your sadaqat bil manni wal adha, by considering you have done a favor upon the recipient. And worse than that, that's man, ihsan jatana. Man means to say, oh my God, I paid you so much and this and that, thinking you have done a favor to the individual who's receiving. Wal adha, and beyond that is verbally or physically, astaghfirullah, harming that individual. Do not invalidate your sadaqah. Okay, so that means when you give sadaqah to somebody, you shouldn't think you're better than them, that's fine. Shouldn't ridicule them, I get it. But then in the tafsir of that, if I'm not mistaken, was a statement of Hassan Basri or one of the Salaf. He said, when you're giving zakat or sadaqah to someone, if you have even 1% doubt about the fact, the certain yaqini fact, that on the day of judgment, you will be in much, much greater need of the thawab of this sadaqah for your own salvation from the fire of Jahannam. you will be in much greater need of the thawab of the sadaqah for your own salvation than the recipient is today in need of the food and medicine, water that you're providing him. If you have a doubt about this, then you have already made ibtal of your thawab of your sadaqah under the tafsir of this ayah. Subhanallah. You have invalidated the thawab of your sadaqah if you are perhaps confused or not sure about this ultimate reality that you are in greater need of the thawab of the sadaqah than the recipient is of the aid you are giving him. Subhanallah. And that's not any hyperbole or exaggeration, because the reality is, if you don't give him medicine and you don't give him food and water, ultimate worst case scenario is what? Death. And his pain will come to an end. But the one who has not fulfilled the obligation, if he ends up in Jahannam, khalidina fiha abada. In Gaza, it's not khalidina fiha abada. There's pain, there's torture. We're not trivializing that, or nor are we saying it's okay to be complacent and the Muslim leaders will not be asked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At every level, you're responsible. We're responsible for our homes, our communities. Muslim leaders are responsible for the country. If they have armies, if they have resources, they're supposed to use it to defend the Muslims, right? So we're not saying, okay, just create a sense of complacency. That's the problem nowadays. You can't talk about any topic until you cover like every single aspect before you get attacked. And sometimes it's not possible. So if we just talk about one point, I'm not saying it's okay, let the zulm go on because it's temporary. Is that the objective? No. However, the fact of the matter is that every pain in this world is what? Temporary. And the pain of the akhirah is eternal. So we are in greater need. Anyway, this fosters a connection. It helps reduce wealth inequality by ensuring more equitable distribution. It increases the barakah in one's own wealth. Subhanallah. The more you spend, the more. This is وَمَا أَتِيتُم مِّن زَكَاةٍ تُرِيدُونَ وَجْهَ اللَّهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُضْعِفُونَ. When you give zakat in the path of Allah, Allah will put barakah in your wealth. And again, Allah Ta'ala says, يَمْحَقُ اللَّهُ الرِّبَا وَيُرْبِسْ صَدَقَاتٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will destroy your wealth with riba, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will increase your wealth through sadaqah. Most important thing, as he mentioned in Dar es Salaam, that we teach and study is our focus is on how do you present the deen in a logical manner, in an understandable manner, because our deen is logical. Allah Ta'ala keeps on saying, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ, so you understand, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَفَكَّرُونَ, so you ponder, تَذَكَّرُونَ, take heed. And sometimes, we ourselves are the ones who are turning people away from the deen because we are not presenting it in the correct manner. And one such example, which is so bad, the following example, heads up, this is a really wrong thing to say, but I was a member of the audience many years ago somewhere, not to be defined, on one of the continents, on one of the 7 continents somewhere. And I could not believe myself what was going on. So the one who was taking the class or the dars, he quoted this ayah, and he said, look, if you have $100 and you give on 10% interest loan to somebody, you give him $100, how much are you going to get? 110. Okay? If you give $10, another person gives $10 in sadaqah, how much is he left with? 90. So then he asked the crowd, Astaghfirullah, this is so bad. He asked the crowd, is 90 greater or 110? So everyone said, this is like in preschool level, greater sign, less, and then the equal, right? So everyone was like, 110 is greater than 90. So then he said, 110 is greater than 90? I said, one gave 10% in interest and he got 110. The other person gives $10 in sadaqah and he's left with 90. You're telling me 110 is greater than 90? So this is your math? So he said, land on your math. Your math is wrong. The Quran is right and your math is wrong. Because the Quran says, يَمْحَقُ اللَّهُ الرِّبَا وَيُرْبِي الصَّدَقَاتِ. Allah will destroy your wealth through riba and will increase it to sadaqah. So I was saying, scratching my head, I was saying, نَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنْ ذَلِكَ. How are you presenting the deen? You're making people doubt the Quran. I mean, this is something badihi, this is something very apparent, that 110 is what? Greater than 90. The correct way of understanding this ayah is that we are mistaken. Yes, we are mistaken. Not in the math though. We are mistaken in the way we are measuring wealth. We are measuring wealth by quantifying it. And in a quantifiable terms, definitely 110 is greater than 90. But Allah Ta'ala is teaching us that the true measure of wealth is not in quantifying it. The true measure in wealth is how much peace, comfort, luxury, contentment you can derive from the wealth. That's the true measure of wealth. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to eat the money, you're not going to sleep on the money. What is the money going to do? Through the money you buy things, and through the things you hope to gain comfort, luxury, contentment, happiness. So Allah Ta'ala is telling us that the comfort and the happiness that you can receive from the 90 will be far greater than the tension and the headache that will come with that 110. That is what Allah is saying. Anyway, moving on. Allah Ta'ala commands us to give zakat. It makes it a vital duty for all Muslims. At the end of the day, Allah is a master. He is our Malik. We are Mamluk. We are His subjects. So He said we must give it. Therefore, we give it, whether or not we had any other benefit. Okay. Again, these are ayat that talk about the thawab, how Allah Ta'ala will increase and give barakah. This is the ayah I mentioned. It's not going to increase. Your wealth will not increase. Meaning the benefit you derive from the wealth will not increase if you give it in riba rather through zakat. Now this is consequences and warnings. Because there's targheeb and there's also tarheeb. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was bashiran. Na arsalnaka shahidan wa mubashiran wa nadhira wa da'iyan ila Allah bi'idhnihi wa sirajan munira. He brought glad tidings and he gave warnings. Wa'ad and wa'id. Promises of reward and warnings. And again, why is he warning? Is he there to threaten you, scare you? No. Nadhir is the warner who loves you and he wants to save you from impending disaster. That's why he's warning you, not to scare you and threaten you. He's warning you because of the impending danger and he loves you and he wants to save you from that. Anyway, the warning here is وَالَّذِينَ يَكْنِزُونَ الذَّهَبَ وَالْفِضَّةَ. Those who are hoarding gold and silver, وَلَا يُنْفِقُونَ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. They're not giving the path of Allah. فَبَشِّرْهُمْ بِعَذَابٍ أَلِيمٍ. Tell them they'll have a grievous punishment. يَوْمَ يُحْمَى عَلَيْهَا فِي نَارِ جَهَنَّمَ. On that day it will be, the gold and silver will be heated up in the fire of Jahannam. فَتُقْوَى بِهَا جِبَاهُهُمْ. They will be branded on their foreheads. Why on the forehead first? Because when they would see the faqir, they would frown. And then they would turn 90 degrees. Turn away, 90 degrees. جِبَاهُمْ جُنُوبُهُمْ, their sides. وَظُهُورُهُمْ, in their backs. Then why the back? Now we have figured it out. What's going after 90? 180 degrees. We got to review our geometry before we get to the arithmetic. Okay, so 90 becomes 180. The back, they turn their back. هَذَا مَا كَنَزْتُمْ لِأَنفُسِكُمْ. This is what you had hoarded for yourself. فُذُوقُوا مَا كُنْتُمْ تَكْنِزُونَ. So taste that which you have hoarded. This is called as al-jazā'u min jinsil amal. The punishment is according to the action. Allahumma fadana jami'an. Then we have the hadith in Bukhari as well, that warning, the zakat will be like this poisonous snake, etc. It will encircle his neck. So the zakat that was not given, this is it will come in the form of a snake. You know how the ayat goes, everybody knows it. فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَهُ. Whoever does an atom worth of good shall see it. Whoever does an atom worth of evil shall see it. Now there are multiple tafsirs of it, but one of them is, how do you see the action that was done? It was later in action, it was completed. Now how are you going to see it? So you'll see it in your book of deeds, the thawab is written. That's what it means, you'll see it. Another interpretation is that those actions will be given physical forms that you will see. And this is one example right here. The action of not giving zakat, like how are you supposed to see that? Is that something physical, three-dimensional, it has a shape, is it something objective? Oh, I see a water bottle. How do I see the fact that I didn't give zakat? So that action of withholding zakat will be given a physical shape. In this case, he's not going to only see it, he's going to strangle him. He's going to feel it. Haqqul yaqeen. Ainul yaqeen, he will see it, then haqqul yaqeen, he will feel it. Okay, who is required? Now we are entering the fiqh. So we always have to have some targheeb and tarheeb, encouragement and warning. So that's the tartib, that's the chronological order. First is targheeb, encouragement, tarheeb, warnings. Encourage to give, warnings if you don't give. Now we're like, oh my God, we better give it. So you have to answer why first. After you finish answering why, what do you answer next? How, right? So this is how. How starts with who's supposed to give. Okay, so you have to be Muslim. Non-Muslims don't give zakat. This will make it easier for us when you come to the receiving end. Non-Muslims don't receive zakat too. You have to give zakat. Hey, it's taken from Muslims, it's given to Muslims. Fair and square. Right? So, we don't help non-Muslims? We help non-Muslims, but not through zakat, through sadaqah. Because Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, for example, أفضل صدقة, the best form of sadaqah, أن تشبع كبدا جائعا, that you feed a hungry stomach. He didn't say the most religious stomach or the most righteous person. It's the most hungry person. So whether Muslim or non-Muslim, through sadaqah. But zakat is a specific ritual form of worship. It is a pillar of Islam. Bunya al-Islamu ala khamsin. Islam has 50 pillars, 500 pillars. How many pillars? 5. It's only 5 pillars. It's not too many, right? And what are they? We know that. Shahada la ilaha illallah wa Muhammadur Rasulullah, iqam as-salah, ita az-zakat, sawm Ramadan, hajj al-bayt, man istata'a ilayhi sabila. So it is a big deal. It's a 1/5. So a person has to be Muslim to give it. Non-Muslims in an Islamic Khilafah, they're not obligated to pray. The Muslim, the Qadi will not, catch them and say, how come you're not praying or not giving zakat or eating in Ramadan or not fasting? They don't go for Hajj, right? None of these things are farad on the non-Muslim. There's only one thing farad on the non-Muslim. What is that? Kalima shahada ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. The only thing farad upon them is to accept Islam. And after they accept Islam, then everything applies. Like the sister accepted Islam. So she fulfilled the obligation. And then everything else comes after that. So next thing is to be an adult. So there is no zakat on children. To be baligh. That means if mashallah, this is a very affluent community, barakallahu fikum, and wa amwalikum wa a'malikum. May Allah put barakah in your wealth and your amal as well. So if you have like college funds for your kids, you put it money in the name of the kid, and he is the owner of that account. So if he's not baligh, he's 1 month old, 1 year old, 2 year old, 5 year old, there is no zakat. Okay, because they are not baligh. The Sharia ahkam, they are only obligated on someone called a mukallaf. Right? A mukallaf is the one who's obligated to fulfill the ahkam of Sharia, and that requires a person to be an adult. Right? If they are giving, that would all be nafal. When did they become baligh? A boy when he reaches the age of puberty, has a nocturnal emission, etc., and a girl when she starts her monthly cycle. So that could be very early. It could be 9, 10, could be 11 for a boy, 13. And maybe mashallah, their account is ballooning so much, and you don't want to tell them that you have so much money, because then they will get arrogant. This is how our elders used to treat in the past. They would make the tarbiyah of their kids. They don't want them to become too arrogant about the money that's sitting in their own account. So if the parent wants to give zakat on their behalf, can they do so? Yes. However, you would have to, innamal a'malu bin niyat. Amal are only counted if the niyyah is there. So if the kid has no idea he has money, and he has no idea of giving zakat on his behalf, the zakat will not be valid. So there's mistakes on both ends. Some people are giving zakat for the kids before they're baligh. That's not a big mistake, you give sadaqah. But a bigger mistake is if you're giving zakat on behalf of a teenager without even informing him, then what happened? The zakat is not valid because there was no niyyah. Alright? Do you have to tell him the exact amount? You don't need to. You could say that as your baba, as I put some money in your name and I'm going to be discharging zakat on your behalf, do you give me permission? So if he has any sense, he should say yes. He's not going to ask for all documentation, hopefully not. Okay. So that is the whole issue about. I mean, there's so many other issues, but it just comes to mind when we talk about you need to be an adult. Then it needs to be sane. So someone is majnoon in a mental asylum, even if they inherit a lot of money, there's no zakat on a majnoon. And there's no zakat on, for example, the one who's managing his estate does not have to give zakat, because who owns the estate? This majnoon, this insane person. So aqilun, balighun, muslimun, okay, balighun, aqil. And the most important one is sahibun nisab, a person who's the owner and possessor of wealth equaling the threshold of zakat, which is called the nisab, at the start and end of the lunar year. So I already sent this presentation to Imam, so then he will send it to all of you, inshallah. Whoever wants it, you can. I'll clog his email with your request. Spam Imam. Okay. So this is the nisab we're going to talk about. So the nisab is the minimum wealth required to pay zakat. All right. There's 2 variations. Now, who came up with the nisab? I didn't come up with it, nor any scholar came up with it. This is from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So there's specific wealth that is zakatable, specific wealth that is not zakatable. And this is what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us, and we're just following it. So there's two nisabs he mentioned. One is gold. How much gold? In the time of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was 20 mithqal, 20 dinars. You know, these terms come a lot, dinar and dirham. In hadith literature, etc., you come across dinar and dirham. So which one is gold, which one is silver? I tell the students, easy to remember that we have the gold in deen. Dinar is gold. And dirham is silver. So 20 dinars, 20 misqals, is 87.48 grams. And silver is 612.36 grams, 200 dirhams. So the ratio of the value, they were approximately the same purchasing power in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it was, what's the ratio between 20 to 200? 1 to 10. 20 times 10 is 200, right? So what you could buy with 1 dinar was equivalent to what you could buy with 10 dirham. And this is going to play a role in a few slides down. That the ratio of the purchasing power of gold and silver was 1 to 10. But now, gold has skyrocketed so much higher than silver that it's almost 1 to 100. Right? So, the nisab of gold is the value of the nisab of gold, the value of 87.48 grams. And the value of silver of 612.36 grams. It's a big, big difference. So we have, I'm not necessarily trying to promote the website, but I'm just telling you what I'm doing. I didn't just remember to start texting somebody in the middle of this. But we have, alhamdulillah, the nisab every single hour based on the fluctuating gold and silver value. Right on the homepage of Darussalam masjidds.org, it gives you the nisab. Like the back end, it's connected so that it continually updates. So, for silver, it's only, subhanallah, $446 is the nisab. And for gold, it's like around 5,000. Right? So it's a big, big difference. Moving forward, to calculate the nisab of zakat, you follow the steps. So we do this in our masjid as well every Ramadan. So this is. But alhamdulillah, our Maulana, I asked him to review it, so he has the date on the bottom. Every single thing in here, is permanent. The Sharia is the only thing that's fluctuating is what? The price of gold and silver. So you see on the bottom it says as of 2/9/2024. And a few weeks later, when we'll do it in our own masjid in Ramadan, we're going to have to update this every single time. It's changing. So right now, the gold rate program is 65.11, so it's 5,695. And silver is 440. Look at that. Price of 20 gold dirhams and price of 200 gold dinars and 200 dirhams. So if an individual only owns gold, then he will give zakat based on the gold nisab. What does that mean? If a woman has, for example, she has no dollars, or a male, could be a male, right? We don't want to be assuming any particular gender roles or being sexist on one way or the other. So any individual, male or female, if they have, for example, 80 grams of gold, they don't have anything else. Do they give zakat? No, it's less than 87.48. You won't take the value of that gold and say, hey, it's more than $440. You don't go with the silver nisab if you have gold. Someone has silver, if they have 600 grams of silver, do they give zakat? No. If that's all they have. If they have some silver, some gold, some dollars, some cash, some stocks, then you will have to add it up. Even though the gold is less than the nisab, the silver a person may have 50 grams of gold, may have 600 grams of silver. Each one is by itself less than the nisab. But then you add it up with your dollars, with your stocks, with other zakatable assets, and then the summation it will be above the nisab. So if a person has only gold, go with gold. If a person has mixed assable assets, then they may also go by the gold nisab. They may. It doesn't say they must. So this is why I was talking about the difference. What happened in the past is if a person had mixed assets, a person had dollars, a person had reals, or a person had rupees, or pounds, whatever the case is, euros, then there's only two nisabs classically in the Sharia: gold one and silver one. There's no nisab for fiat currency, for this paper money, for these digits, right? So what they said is the silver nisab was a lower threshold. So classically, if you look in all the books of fiqh, they wanted to make the masala and the ruling such that it would be anfa' lil fuqara, more beneficial for poor people. So that's why the fatwa was you should go with the silver nisab. So more people are giving zakat, because there will be individuals whose mixed assets surpass the silver nisab but don't hit the gold. They're in the middle. So if you say, hey, if I go by gold nisab, look, like right now, you see let's quantify 440 and 5,600. So a person has, for example, $5,000. Should he give zakat? He has $5,000 after paying all his bills and everything, extra money, savings. So does he have to give zakat? If you go by the silver nisab, he has to. But if you go by the gold nisab, he doesn't have to. See, that's the real scenario. So classically, the scholars always said, go with the silver nisab. Why? So that more people give zakat, and the more poor people's needs will be taken care of. But this got so out of sync. That's one thing. Number two is, what can you purchase with the $440? This becomes a real problem, which can be illustrated best with the scenario of udhiyah, qurbani. So upon whom is qurbani, udhiyah, and Eid al-Adha, Zul Hijjah, 10th of Zul Hijjah, 10, 11, 12, right? We give qurbani. Who is it wajib upon? A person who owns a nisab. It doesn't have to have a passing of a year either, just like you do in zakat. Just as long as you own nisab, you have to give the qurbani. So if a person has $441, he's already 10 cents past the nisab, the silver one. And the goat may cost $350. Sometimes the silver nisab may be less than the value of the goat. So how is that possible? He has to take a loan to pay the goat? Then what is he going to eat tomorrow? Allah Ta'ala says, Subhanallah, لا تجعل يدك مغلولة إلى عنقك. Don't take your hand and tie it to your neck. Like someone breaks their arm and then they're wearing a sling. Is that a violation of the ayah? No, because it's figurative, right? Don't tie your hand, meaning not spending. And whenever the call to spend is, no, I can't stretch my hand. لا تجعل يدك مغلولة إلى عنقك. Then ولا تبسطها كل البسط. Don't spread it out so much that you're giving so much. Then you yourself are in need, waiting to beg in line because you gave it everything away. So that's why later day scholars, currently American Fiqh Academy, etc., their ruling is that you can go with the gold nisab. And this is on the wajib giving side. And it's also going to play a role on who is eligible to receive. Because if a person if you go with the silver nisab, a person total assets, cash that he has savings, $441, you can't give him zakat money. He's not an eligible recipient if you go with silver. But by all common understanding and standards, that person is quite poor. So you're considering a significant percentage of poor individuals as not eligible anymore. You're excluding them from the eligible pool. So that's another problem with going with silver. Right? Okay, now the next issue is when and how to give zakat. When. So when it comes to the when part, it's so easy. The rule is so easy, so simple, that when you explain it, people don't get it because they think, wait, it has to be more complicated than that. I must be missing something. No, you're not missing something. It's actually that easy. If there's a person who is a youngster, does not have any income, is not working, then when he starts working, he gets a job, and for the first time in his life, he hits the nisab. We're going to go with gold, right? 5,695. I'll round it off, 5,700. So he hits $5,700 he got in his bank. He got money, he spent some, he got more money, he spent, until finally he hits 5,700. That day, he's supposed to pencil it down, note it down. That particular date. Not February, like today is February 9th, not February 9th, right? Which date he has to note down? Not the solar date, the lunar date, the Shari'i date. Because there's a difference between the Shari'i year and the lunar year and the solar year. Right? Solar year is longer, Shari'i year is shorter. Right? That's everyone, I think, basic knowledge knows that, right? That's why Ramadan was in the summer, now it's coming towards the winter. So if you give zakat every year, like January 1st, people are making the resolutions, you're giving your zakat. Every single year you're given January 1st. Have you fulfilled the obligation? No. In 30 years you missed one. Alright, so anyway, you note down the Shari'i date, and then throughout the year, whatever fluctuation happened, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to consider anything. Then on that same date, say it was Rajab the 5th, right? So if a person, Rajab the 5th is my birthday, right? So yeah, now I just have to give you my social security number, then you're good to go. Okay, so Rajab the 5th is, if a person, he gives zakat, he gives zakat on Rajab the 5th, so another whole year goes, on Rajab the 5th, he just gives the zakat. On that day, the next year on Rajab the 5th, what does he do? He calculates how much money he has, gives 2.5%. Every Rajab the 5th. Throughout the year, there may be fluctuation, he doesn't have to worry about it. This is called Hawlan al-Hawl. On your calendar due date, you give zakat. Because during the year, he may end up having more money, sometimes he may have less money. It may go above the nisab, it may go under the nisab. It doesn't affect anything. The only thing it will affect is if he goes down to zero, he goes down to negative in debt. Then, if that happens after 5 months, after 6 months, after 8 months, after 9 months, he goes down to zero. That's over. Don't count those months anymore. Inshallah, as his condition improves and he goes back and hits the nisab, then a new year will start from there. So in Rajab 5th he had it, then Rajab, Sha'ban, Ramadan, Shawwal, Zilqa'dah, these are the months of Islam, right? So in Zilqa'dah, if he, in the middle he got zero and then he hit the nisab again, another year starts from that point. Okay, so let's look at this. So that's why it says here, now everybody wants to give zakat in Ramadan, right? Why do you want to give zakat in Ramadan? Because buy one, get 70 free. It's an amazing deal, right? Buy one, get one free, we go crazy. Buy one, get two free, we really get excited. How about buy one, get 70 free? Man adda fariidatan fihi kana kaman adda 70 fariidatan fi ma siwa. Whoever fulfills one time the obligation will get the reward of 70 times. So everybody wants to give zakat in Ramadan. And we said like this guy's due date is Rajab 5th. So what he can do is 1 year he prepays Rajab, Sha'ban, Ramadan. When Ramadan comes, he pays the zakat even though it may not be due yet. It's only been Sha'ban, Ramadan, 2 months. And then after that, he voluntarily changes his date, then he can give on that date every year in Ramadan. Ramadan 10, Ramadan 20, Ramadan 21, 27, whatever. So the red line is nisab. In Rabiul Awwal, Rabiul Thani, it went down, it goes up, doesn't make a difference. The next Ramadan, 1444, where the line is, on that value you give the zakat. One thing is that before the zakat value, before the zakat due date, if a person inherits a lot of money, somebody passed away, he inherits a lot of money. Or, I can't give the example of winning the lottery because it's haram. Right? You don't give zakat on lottery winnings, by the way. If somebody wins the lottery, you don't give zakat on it, 2.5%. You have to give what? 100%. Right? This is not going to work. I already told you the answer, but I was with the kids. I was coming up with this kids meeting, the students, the madrasa, Dar Salam. I was, just to make things a little bit exciting, I was asking all kinds of weird questions I came up with. So one of them was that a person that has $1 million and he doesn't have to give zakat. So explain the scenario. How is that possible? So they're coming up with all kinds of different ideas. At the end, I said he won the lottery. He doesn't have to give 2.5%. He has to give 100% of it away because it's a haram wealth. He has to give it 100%. So anyway, sometimes people say, right before my due date, I got a lot of money. And then, like for example, I had a balance of like $6,000, which is the nisab, right? Nisab being 5,700. And then a couple days before my zakat due date, on Rajab 1st, Rajab 2nd, because Rajab 5th is the due date, what happens is, I got a lot of money. So my 5,000 became 50,000, became 100,000. I have to give zakat on the whole thing. What about the whole year? Right? So is on your due date, whatever assets you have to give it, even if you got it recently. Because the opposite is true as well. If a person had 100,000 throughout the whole year, but a few days before his due date, he ended up, astaghfirullah, may Allah protect, his money got stolen, or he had some tragedy, he had to end up spending it. He has only only 6,000 on the due date, he gives zakat on 6,000, even though he had a lot of money. Or he had a lot of money, he was waiting to buy a house. And he was looking, so he had cash, liquid money. Liquid money is what? Zakatable. We're going to come to that. The house that you own is not zakatable. So he transferred zakatable wealth into non-zakatable by buying a house few days before his due date. There's no baby being born due date. We're talking about the zakat due date, right? So then what happens? He won't have to give zakat. Those scenarios nobody asks. They only ask the scenario when they're receiving a lot. But it works both ways. Okay? The starting date for the zakat year is the occasion when the individual's assets first meet the nisab threshold. The fluctuation of wealth throughout the year will not affect the determination of due date. If the individual's wealth meets the nisab threshold at both the beginning and the end of the Islamic year, they are obligated to pay zakat. Of the Islamic year doesn't mean Muharram 1st to Dhul Hijjah to 29 or 30. Islamic year means from whatever point you start. If someone loses all of their assets and their wealth falls at zero, they will need to reach the nisab threshold once again to restart the zakat year. So this is what's happening here. Remember I said if it goes down to zero, you see that yellow line, vertical one? That's when it goes back, that's where you're going to restart the year. Okay? Because the nisab went down to, the money went down to zero. You see that pit? When it's going down, that's when so then you restart your year. Okay, what are assets liable for zakat? What are money you have to give zakat? This is very important. Anyone has gold and silver, they have to give zakat on that. So whether it's gold bullion, coins, bricks, wafers, biscuits, right? Or jewelry. There's ikhtilaf al-madhahib about like the jewelry al-musta'mala that is being worn. The Hanafi fiqh position is even jewelry a person wears, meaning gold would be women wearing it, men it's haram to wear gold, then it's all zakatable, the weight of that. Cash, of course, is zakatable. Business merchandise. Business merchandise means any item which is bought with the intention of resale, hopefully with profit. It's called urud al-tijara in Arabic. Anything a person buys with the intention of selling it. So that's why historically the individuals who had the most zakat were the businessmen. Because say if a person is even a physician, so he may have a lot of cash, right, savings, but if he has a lab, on the lab equipment, on his office, he owns a whole surgical center, he owns like dialysis centers, multiple, there's no zakat on the value of all of those properties. But if there's a businessman who owns like a Walmart, minus the haram stuff, some other superstore, then there would be zakat on the value of all of the entire of the entire inventory. Minus, but in the liability side, he can take out if he owes money. So if somebody has a car lot, he's selling cars, there's zakat on the value of all of the cars. But if he bought that on credit, when he gets the money, then he's going to pay where he got it from. In that case, he can minus. So zakat, the businessman, is the most. That's why Allah Ta'ala gives so much barakah in business if it's done with the correct intention. So business, we're going to go over that in more detail. Each one of these we're going to talk in more detail. Livestock, for farmers, there's zakat. Because this has numu in it. Animals grow, you have multiplication through procreation. And then there's zakat on agriculture. Livestock and agriculture, if somebody is, I feel like we're out in the boonies coming from Chicago. So I don't know if there's any farmers here. But we're going to, mashallah, we're going to talk about livestock and agriculture. If you have any questions, you can, at the end there's an email, you can send your questions there. We're not going to go over livestock and agriculture in this presentation. We're going to talk about the first three. There's a whole calculation model for livestock and calculation model for agriculture as well. What assets are not liable for zakat? Other than gold and silver jewelry. So remember when I was saying this is what the Prophet ﷺ said, so that's it. The reason I was saying that is you don't bring your own rationality in there and your own perspective and say that, wow, if there's zakat on silver, then there has to be zakat on platinum. Platinum is more valuable than silver and gold, right? That's why I have the platinum credit card. Somebody might say, I don't have the silver and gold, I have platinum. I'm a platinum guy. No, but the thing is, it's not gold and silver, so Sharia didn't say so. Can you give sadaqah? Yeah, you can give sadaqah. You can give 1/3 of your wealth, 33.3%. You don't have to stop at 2.5. But Sharia is Sharia. We don't mess around with it. We'll say this much is farad, and that much, it's up to you how much you want to give. You understand? So there's no, when you say not, when you're talking about platinum, there's another, you have landscape rocks. Do you give zakat on the landscape rocks? Likewise, just like landscape rocks, there's no zakat, there's other rocks called diamonds, rubies, emeralds. They're just like any other rock. The way precious stones, semi-precious stones, they're stones. So there's no zakat on stones. Whether they're precious, semi-precious, or they're in your landscaping or on the bushes. So this is something that was artificially created. Because I was in South Africa, so I know about the Kimberley mine and De Beers family and how they created this whole concept that a diamond lasts forever and is a sign of love, and we actually bought into that whole thing. Right? Allahu Akbar. So the sign of love is the way Rasulullah treated his wife. That's the way, sign of love. I mean, I'm not saying it's haram to buy a diamond ring. Don't start hitting me for that. I'm just saying there's anyway. So that jewelry, that cars. So there's no zakat on cars. If a person has multiple cars, there's no zakat on the value of the car. There's one exception to everything we're talking here. If you buy and sell it, then it falls under business merchandise. So if a person is selling platinum, selling diamonds, there's zakat on it. But if a person has it just to use, there's no zakat on it. Household appliances, there's no zakat on it. Properties, there's no zakat on it. Time's up, right? No?
What happened here?
Oh, you're not able to see? Oh man, I was looking at this. Since when?
That's right.
Okay. You have to give us a heads up. You're such a mashallah mu'adda. आपने इतना अदब सिखाया अपने कौम को कि खामोश बैठे हैं. Oh, yeah. See, that's good. I need the feedback. You should give me. I don't need feedback on the mics, on the speaker, but I need your feedback. How is it now? Okay. Huh? Put it. Yeah. Move it as you need to. Okay. So now you can see. Oh, it's coming. So, if a person has diamonds and platinum, any non-zakatable asset. So, going back to my interesting quizzes I give the students, I was like, is there any scenario where you have to give zakat on dirt? And dirt. Khak pe, mitti. Yeah, there is zakat. If you're selling topsoil, right? If you buy and sell dirt, then you'll have to, that's your business, that's your item you're selling. It will become zakatable. And if you're wearing a diamond ring, $50,000 one you bought for your honey and your honeymoon, you're very excited and just went ahead and bought a $50,000 ring. So there's no zakat on that, on the diamond. If it's platinum ring with a diamond in it, there's no zakat on the entire thing. If there's a gold band, then there would be. Yeah. Oh, 10 minutes for Q&A. All right. So we're gonna, when they're racing, Need for Speed, then what do? Sometimes they put the nitro and everything. We're gonna turn on the afterburners. We're gonna start moving fast, jet speed now. We get 10 minutes to Q&A. All right. So these are. Where are we? How do we go back? This thing stopped working, I guess. Oh, you have to put it on presentation. View. Huh? Okay, presentation. So slideshow. Okay. Let's see if this works. Yeah, now it's working. So household appliances, properties, there's no zakat. If a person is buying and selling properties, is there zakat? Yes. If a person has a property, he's not sure what he's going to do with it. He has a plot of land, and he's like, I don't know, I may build a house on it, or I may flip it. There's no zakat on it. When he actually starts putting on sale, there will be zakat on the entire value of that. Okay? We're going to talk about this. So, types of assets, zakatable versus non-zakatable. Gold, silver, cash, livestock, zakatable. Non-zakatable. Now, there is an issue here that the non-zakatable, they are divided into two categories, necessary assets and beyond necessary assets. So the reason we have to divide this is that, say a person, our nisab is what? 5,700, right? What's the nisab? 20 dinars of gold, which equals $5,700 in cash. So if a person is trying to outsmart the system and is acting like, he wants to, like the accountants show you different loopholes. So he does a loophole where he keeps majority of his cash income in what? In non-zakatable assets. He just has diamonds. He has like open a door and it's like a whole closet full of diamonds. And he has platinum, all this stuff, land. So he has all non-zakatable assets. So what is his cash? What cash does he have? He has less than the gold nisab. He has only $2,000. He has less than silver nisab. He only has $200 cash. So will this person have to give zakat? He doesn't have zakatable assets. He doesn't have to. But can this person receive zakat? Can he say that I don't have the nisab so I can receive? No. He cannot receive zakat. He has so much money. But he has moved that money into non-zakatable assets. Right? So this is a person in between. This is a person who is not liable to give. He is not responsible to give, but he's not liable to receive. When he finishes that money and he's poor, he has to eat and he has to feed. He doesn't have any liquid money. He has to feed his family. What is he going to have to do? Sell that vacation home, sell that extra property, change it into liquid money and use it. You can't ask for zakat. So that's why the non-zakatable assets are divided into necessary and beyond necessary. So who is eligible to receive? The person is eligible to receive who does not have zakatable assets beyond nisab, and the non-zakatable assets as well, he does not have beyond necessary. Right? So necessary are household goods, clothes, cars, house, furnishings. So if somebody comes to ask for money, he's in debt. Okay? And we're going to say, do you have clothes? How much clothes do you have? Why don't you put that on eBay, garage sale? And you sell your car. Car is considered a durura, necessity. Roti ka makan sawari, right? Sawari, having a car is necessary. You don't have to tell him to sell that stuff. However, if a person has fine art, jewelry, high-end watches, sports cars, yachts, vacation homes, and he's saying, I don't have cash, what are you going to tell him? Sell this stuff. That's the difference for necessary and beyond necessary. Like, this is, showing it in graphs now. Liable to pay zakat and ineligible to receive. Why? Because his zakatable assets are beyond the nisab and non-zakatable assets beyond the nisab. This person B, not liable to pay and eligible to receive. Because his non-zakatable assets are lower, his zakatable assets are also lower. And person C is not liable to pay, but is ineligible to receive. Like he has a lot of fine art, he has jewelry, but he doesn't have cash. Okay, so household appliances, zakatable or non-zakatable? Non-zakatable. Unvested 401k. Huh? Why? What's the difference between vested and unvested?
Unvested is not zakatable because you won't get it. Before 5 years you don't get it.
You will not. When you, if you move your company, you lose. The purpose of that is what? To chain you, right?
Yeah.
Right, to the job. So if you lose, if you move, you're not going to get it. So it's not zakatable. Vacation property, non-zakatable. And white gold is non-zakatable. Diamond necklace, if there's any gold part to it, it's zakatable. Otherwise, it's not. Cars are non-zakatable unless you're selling. Gold-plated watches, not zakatable. Rental property, the rent you receive, that's zakatable. It goes into the cash side. But the value of the house is not zakatable. Stocks and assets. Zakat is due on stock and inventory acquired with the purpose of being sold again. Anything you buy with the intention to sell is based on the goods retail price. Okay? So, likewise, real estate that is acquired with the intention of being leased out is exempt from zakat. If you're going to hold on to the property and leasing it, whatever rent you get is zakatable, not the value of the house. Every partner is responsible to dispense zakat of their own percentage. So, if you have partnership, if 60, 40, 50, 50, any percentage, that's the percentage you give zakat. As a person has cash, stock in trade, inventory, cash and trade receivables, is zakatable. Non-zakatable is property, machinery, equipment, furniture, trademark, copyright, these are non-zakatable business assets. Right? If someone purchased something to resell, that's why we give zakat on stocks. Because we buy a stock and your intention is to sell it. Entire holding is subject to zakat, plus any dividends received. Whereas, if you have another share in a business, not one of the share in Apple and Google, one of the share in brothers, some halal restaurant. So over here, if you get any dividend from that restaurant, you give zakat on that, and percentage of zakatable business assets. What does that mean? That means there's a restaurant, right? So in that restaurant, you have a share. You own, you have 50% share in that restaurant. So there's a value of your share. You don't have to give zakat on the entire value. You have to look into the business and see, how much of the value is of the machinery, of the items being sold, the bank account of that business. So whatever money is in the bank account, that's zakatable. Whatever inventory that you're selling, that's zakatable. But the rest of the machinery and the fixtures and the building, if it's owned by that business, if they're not leasing it, they own it, that's not zakatable. Right? So that's why you have to do the calculation if you have a share for investment purposes versus buying a share that you have bought it to sell later on. Now, debts that people that are you're going to receive. This is a very simple thing. It's if people owe you money, the person, like say for example, I gave $5,000 to my friend as a loan. So when I am calculating my zakat, I say, hey, I don't have the 5,000. I don't know if he's going to pay me, so I don't pay zakat on it. When he's calculating his zakat, he says, I owe this 5,000. It's a liability, so I'm not going to give zakat. So who's giving zakat on the 5,000? Nobody is. The Shari'i masla is the money that is owed to you, you are supposed to give zakat on it. It's your money. And you have the right to go after the person anytime and say, give it to me. And he has to give it back to you. He's supposed to. So that's why strong debts, zakat will assets, cash, gold, silver that are owed to an individual due to loans given or unpaid invoices. Meaning someone bought something from you on credit, you have to give zakat on it. And somebody, you had loaned them money, they owe you, you have to give zakat on it. It's wajib every year, but payment is not required until the money is received. So you have to calculate it. You say, okay, the guy owes me $50,000, $100,000. I don't know if he's going to pay me. You keep that 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 years. If he ends up paying it to you after 5 years, you have to pay the zakat for the past 5 years on it. Okay? Weak debt, it refers to intangible receivables. For example, your employee's unpaid wages. The employer didn't pay you for a couple months and then you resign. So those wages he owes you. Unpaid rental for the landlord. You ended up evicting the tenant to the sheriff, whatever. Do you have to give zakat for unpaid rental? Outstanding mahar payment. Pata nahi kab tawfiq milegi isko, right? Right. So the husband didn't pay the mahar. Do the wife have to give? No. Outstanding bequest payment. Somebody died and they bequested for you, but you didn't get it. Zakat is only required for received wealth and not for past years. When and if you get it, you have to give zakat, not for past years. So there's a whole fiqhi difference in the background between strong debts called daynul qawi and daynul da'if. Do you see that? For the strong ones, you have to give it for past years when you get it. For the weak ones, you don't. Okay. When the debtor admits to owning this is a lot of detail. I'm not going to go into that for now. We're already like past time. Now we're talking about deductibles. So you have your Zakatul Assets worksheet. We have the worksheet on our website. I can share it with you. Now there's something deductible before you reach the final number, 2.5% of the final number. What do you deduct? So there are debts. In the past, you would deduct the entire debt amount. So if a person he adds up his cash and the gold jewelry and everything, that's zakatable, and it ends up being $10,000 he has. $10,000 zakatable, right? But then deductible is going to be, what do you deduct? He owes somebody 2,000. So he'll say that 10 minus 2, 8. He has to give zakat on 8,000. So this was the Islamic model in the past when nobody would take a qard unless they had to. They would rather die than taking a debt. Beyond the scope of the discussion tonight is the whole economy and I don't want to say, I was about to say particular segment of the Ummah, of the Bani Israel, etc., and how they changed the economy to make sure that what? Everybody is in debt. Everybody takes debts because nobody wants to live within their means. If you have a $500,000 annual income, you want to buy a house that you can't afford, $2 million, $3 million house. You could buy a cash, but you don't want to. You're going to buy a cash and buy a house in cash, but no, you want to buy beyond your means. So everybody is in debt. So if you deduct the entire debt, student debt, credit card debt, house debt, everybody in America is on the receiving end of zakat. Why? It's because the money you owe is greater than the assets you have, and that's exactly who a eligible recipient would be. Who do you give because Allah Ta'ala says, we're going to come to the recipients if you get to it. إِنَّمَا الصَّدَقَاتُ لِلْفُقَرَاءِ وَالْمَسَاكِينِ وَالْعَامِلِينَ عَلَيْهَا وَالْمُؤَلَّفَةِ قُلُوبُهُمْ وَفِي الرِّقَابِ وَالْغَارِمِينَ. These are the categories of those who are eligible to receive. وَالْغَارِمِينَ, the one who is in debt. Meaning the debts that he owes are greater than the assets that he has. So people, they have 30 year, 35, 40 year debts on their homes and credit card and student debt. Do they have that much cash in the bank? No. So debts so everybody should go give me a zakat then. That's why this whole division came about. That there's two types of debt. Long-term debts and short-term debts. Okay? The long-term is only one monthly payment can be deducted. The monthly payment. When you're giving your zakat in Ramadan, do not deduct the whole house value, 20 years. Do not deduct all the other debts that you're not planning to pay. Only the monthly payment can be deducted for debts because that's what's keeping you up at night, your monthly bill. Unfortunately, people are not worried about the whole thing. So therefore, it's not permissible to deduct the entire loan. Whereas the short-term debt, then you can deduct it. Like when you borrow someone from your cousin, from your friend, your neighbor, you have to give them right away back. You can deduct that. If you have utility bills for this month, you can deduct that. If you bought something in credit, you have to pay them, you can deduct that. Okay, these are things that can be deducted. If you're paying the mahar now, you can deduct it. If you have to pay your employees' wages, you can deduct that. Short-term personal loans, you can deduct that. Okay? I'm going to skip the whole retro zakat. Okay. Now, quickly, last thing, I want to tell you who are the beneficiaries, who can receive. إِنَّمَا الصَّدَقَاتُ لِلْفُقَرَاءِ, poor people, they have some wealth, but below the nisab. وَالْمَسَاكِينَ, possessors of no wealth. فُقَرَاء وَالْمَسَاكِينَ. مِسْكِينٌ لَا مَتَرَبَةٍ, they're toiling in the dust. They have no clothes to cover their body. The zakat collectors. There's a whole chapter that in the Islamic Khilafat they would be appointed by the Khalifa, those who are collecting the zakat. They would get their salary from the government, and that particular fund for the zakat collectors, zakat money used to be given there. This does not apply anymore. Because these zakat collectors were a wakil and a representative of the fuqara. And nowadays, the Islamic Relief, etc., they are our wakil. They're giving the zakat money on our behalf. So therefore, they are not zakat. You don't give zakat. So that's why you have to find out what's their overhead. 10% for marketing, for salaries and everything. So whatever your zakat amount is, if you're giving it to Islamic Relief, you should give what? 110%. 10% is donation to Islamic Relief, and 100% should go to eligible recipients. Okay? وَالْمُؤَلَّفَةِ قُلُوبُهُمْ, this was when Islam was in the beginning, the Ummah was weak. Rasulullah ﷺ gave zakat money to people who were to soften their hearts towards Islam. Umar radiallahu anhu said, Allah has made us mustaghni, we do not. That is why it's abrogated. Ghari means slaves to free slaves. That is not anymore. Debt ridden, those who have debts, meaning actual debts in third world countries, they owe more money than they have, and they have to pay that money off. So you can give them zakat money. For fi sabilillah, this was for those who are defending the deen, the Muslim soldiers, financially struggling hajis, traveler. Wabn as-sabil. Why the traveler? The traveler means he has a lot of money back at home, but he's cut off from his wealth because there was no Western Union, there was no bank transfers, there's no credit cards. So the traveler back in the, he's not a faqir and miskin, he's rich, but he got robbed, his caravan was hijacked. So then you can give him zakat money. But nowadays this transfer available, so this traveler doesn't apply. So the only one that actually applies is the one who's a faqir, miskin, and the one who is in debt. These are other individuals you cannot give zakat to. It's very simple. Among the relatives, you go straight up and straight down. Father, mother, grandfather, grandmother, paternal, maternal, dada, dadi, nana, nani. Anyone straight up, you can't give zakat to. Anyone straight down, son, daughter, grandson, granddaughter, pota, poti, nawasa, nawasi, maternal, paternal, going down, you cannot give zakat to. And your spouse. Spouse meaning husband or wife, both. You cannot give zakat to. That's 1, 2, and 3. When we say you can't give zakat to these 3, then you're going to ask, what about the uncle? It's not the one of the 3, is it? So you can. What about your brother? You can. What about your sister? You can. What about your cousin? You can. Nephew? Anyone other than these 3, you can give zakat to, because this is an exhaustive list. This is a complete list when it comes to relatives. Okay? Then what's the next follow-up question? Do you have to tell them it's zakat? No, you don't have to tell them it's zakat. Okay? So I have a cousin so-and-so, they're poor in foreign land, XYZ. So in Syria, in Egypt, in Pakistan, India, wherever. Can I give them zakat? Yes, you can. In fact, you'll get double reward if you make the double niyyah. What niyyah you should make? Paying zakat. Second niyyah you should make? Silatul raham, taking care of relatives. So you get both. They're more deserving, they're your relatives, you should take care of them. And you don't have to tell them. Why? You don't have to make them, but you have to have the niyyah. If you give it to help them out at their wedding and this and that, and then you find out now, you can't backtrack your niyyah. Backdate it. Let's make that zakat. I never knew I could give it to my cousin. I just found out I could double the thawab. No. That time you gave it as what? As a gift, so it's gone as a gift. Moving forward, if you want to help out family members, you can give them money with the intention of zakat, without informing the zakat, you tell them it's a gift. Okay? Banu Hashim, the descendants of Ali, Abbas, Ja'far, Aqil, Harith bin Abdul Muttalib. These are detail of Banu Hashim, the family of Rasulullah. Why? To remove any potential objection that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the Nubuwah, the objective of his Nubuwah was to create a financial empire for his family. So you have Hassan and Hussein radiallahu anhuma, they were starving to death, literally almost dying from starvation. And there was a whole pile of dates of zakat, and the baby goes, Hussein radiallahu anhu, takes the date, 5-year-old baby, puts it in his mouth, and Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam goes, opens his mouth and takes it out. Ya bunayya, oh my dear son, inna Allah harrama hadha. Allah has made this zakat haram upon me and my descendants. Other people have other objectives. Like, you don't have to read between the lines, behind the lines, it's right in the lines. Musaylama Kadhab, he wrote a letter to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. That Jibreel Alayhi Salam came to me and he said that I'm also a Nabi, a prophet, and he told me that half the world belongs to you and half the world belongs to me. Oh God. What's the objective? He saw, wow, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, this after Fatih Makkah and everything, he's making a lot of progress. So I should also become a prophet. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam wrote a letter, Min Muhammadin Abdullahi wa Rasulihi ila Musaylama al-Kadhab. From Muhammad, the messenger of Allah, true messenger, to Musaylama, the liar. Right? There's no, half the world doesn't belong to anybody, or I'm a servant of Allah. Anyway, so the family of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. A non-Muslim, I remember I told you, non-Muslims don't give nor they receive. A wealthy person, you can't give zakat to a wealthy person. General projects, hospitals, etc., nobody is owning it. And one important thing in zakat is that it has to enter the possession of the faqir. Masjid construction, all of these construction projects should be helped with sadaqah. If you find a bunch of poor people, laborers, tell them go erect this wall, carry this stuff, and they do their labor, you can't give them a zakat as salary. Prisoners, person who does not have the nisab of zakat but has goods beyond their essential needs. This is the guy who doesn't have money but has a lot of artwork. Paying zakat is important to pay without delay, Is the Q&A time is now? Yes, if your 10 minutes over. Okay, so you have to have the niyyah when you're giving it or when you're separating it. You can also give zakat on behalf of your wife, on behalf of your kids. When you're giving to the individual, they must have complete ownership and unrestricted control. You cannot dictate what they do with the zakat money. And okay, now we're at the last thing, scenario. This will be fun. You can get involved. Zayd has $999 in his bank. I'm asking you. You will answer. He has $300,000, a house worth $300,000, a car worth $30,000. Is he liable to pay zakat? It says on the bottom, assume nisab is 1,000. So he has 999. What about the $300,000 house? That's a necessity. A car worth 30,000? Necessity. So is he liable to pay? He doesn't have to pay because he has 999, one below the nisab. Is he eligible? Is he eligible to receive? If he has only one house, he's allowed to have that one house. He has one car, so this person will be eligible to receive if he inherit because he just has one house and he has one car, and his money is below the nisab. Now, where it's objective, I'll tell you it's subjective, and where it's subjective, I will identify. The one part in the whole thing which is subjective is what is necessary, what is not necessary. Somebody could say that you could sell your house and move into a smaller, cheaper house. That's where I must admit it gets a bit cloudy, and it's in the eye of the beholder how he wants to approach it. That part to determine what is necessary, not necessary. Certain things are no-brainer, right? If a person has two houses, a person has one house and a person has multiple cars, that's going to be beyond necessary. If it's one house, one car, it may be considered necessary. Scenario 2, Amr has $500 in his bank, okay? Is that above or below nisab? Below. A house worth 500,000. This is the question number 1. Okay, let's say it's just one house he lives in, let him have it. Maybe it's like Manhattan, it's very expensive. So it's a little hut in Manhattan. Okay, Minhaj is short as a small little island, not much space there. 2 vacation properties, each worth is only 100,000. What is this going to be? Is this zakatable? It's not zakatable. But is it necessary or not necessary? Not necessary. Is he liable to pay zakat? He only has 500, he's not liable to pay. But is he eligible to receive? He's not eligible to receive either. Because he has this property. You'll say liquidate that. Now, Maryam, mashallah, she has $700 in the bank. Below or above the nisab? Below. House worth 300,000? It's not zakatable, non-consequential. One rental property worth 100,000. The value of the rental property, is it zakatable? No. She has a total of 400 in rental income. Is that zakatable? Yes. In addition to her bank balance. So she has $400, maybe her tenant gave her in cash. So 400 plus 700 is how much? 1100. Is it above or below nisab? Above. She has to give 2.5%. Got it? She has to give up the 1100. Yeah, 700 was not zakatable, but the 400 rental income is 7 plus 4, 1100, 2.5% of 1100. Scenario 4, Fatima has $600 in the bank. Okay, a house worth 300,000. $300, 600 in the bank, is zakatable? No. House worth 300,000, is that zakatable? No. One resale property worth 100,000. Yeah, if it's resale, it is zakatable. One property for rent worth 200,000. Not zakatable. So she has 600 is zakatable, and the 100,000. So 106, 2.5 of 106,000. Okay? Scenario. Maybe did I make a mistake? Let me see. See.
How about the rental property?
The rental property, there's zakat on the rent you get, not on the value of the rental. Not on the. Unless it's liquidated, yeah. So, scenario 5, Bakr has 5,000 in the bank. Is zakatable? Yes, for sure, right? Because above 1,000. Factory property worth 200,000. No zakat on that. Machinery worth 100,000? No zakat on that. Not on machinery, he's not selling it. He's using it. Inventory worth 10,000. Is that zakatable? Yeah. So 5,010, 510,000 is zakatable. Okay? Each one, obviously, each scenario is showing something different. This one here, Zayd has 15,000 in his bank. Is that zakatable? Yes. 10,000 in 401k. But from this 10,000, 5,000 is contributed by him and 5,000 is company match. Okay, we're going to come to this. I didn't talk about this actually, so I don't blame you if you're like, what? Machinery worth 25,000. Is that zakatable? No. Inventory worth 2,500. Is that zakatable? Yes. There's a 1,000 fine to withdraw the 401k currently. Another variable. How much zakat should he pay if the 401k is vested and how much if it's unvested?
Nothing if it is unvested.
So if it's unvested, meaning he doesn't have it because if he moves, it's gone. If it's, right? And if it's vested, the 5,000 is contributed by him and the 5,000 company match. So this is where you have different fatwa. So where there's different opinion, I'll mention. You'll find different fatwas out there. Before you come to me and say, hey, I read this, I'm telling you that there are both opinions. Why is there so many different opinions? Because 401ks didn't exist in the time of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Well, yeah, a lot of things didn't exist. What's unique about the 401k? The unique thing about the 401k is that, look, in the past, it's your money, you have it, you can spend it. If it's not your money, you don't have it, you can't spend it. Simple. Now, this is a really gray area where it is your money, but you can't spend it. Like, so who owns it? You do. Can you spend it? No. So this is the weird situation. That's why you have both types of fatwas. Some say, which is good, and this will make a big difference because sometimes the 401ks can balloon way more than the checking account balance, right? So what's going to happen is, more than sometimes, yeah. Hopefully, right? Inshallah. We want everyone to have a strong financial future. So the thing is, I mean, I know it's when it came to the nisab, I was pushing for go with gold to make it easier for people. But over here, the fatwa that I follow personally, while admitting there's an ikhtilaf in it, is that it should be zakatable. Because this is your money, you have put it in a box, you have put it under the mattress, you have put it in the 401k, and you can, if the need is there, khuda na khasta la qadar Allah, that's some emergency, you can withdraw it. You will have to pay taxes and you will have to pay penalty. So at most you may deduct that, and what cash you could get in hand if you choose to, that much should be zakatable. Right? So basically with the whole 401k scenario, there's three fatwas. One is that, hey, it's not zakatable until it matures, and when you're 65 or 60 or whatever your particular plan is, then you pay for that year onwards. The second is that the entire amount is zakatable. The third is every year. The third one is that every year you go to your HR manager and say that if I would have if I choose to withdraw now, how much penalty and how much taxes I would have to pay and how much cash I would get in hand. And that, like if you have 100,000 in there and they say, oh, 40% tax, 40,000 gone, 20% penalty, 20% gone, 40 plus 20, 60%, 60,000 out of 100,000. So that 40,000 remains, you would have to give 1,000 in zakat. 2.5% is 1,000 of 40. Even though you don't. Like you don't take it out, but you could have, right? So that much is zakat. The others say that, you know what? Next year, what is being invested? Is 40,000 being invested or the whole 100,000? Whole 100,000. So did you pay the taxes? No. Did you pay the penalty? No. So why are you deducting in your zakat? The whole 100,000 is zakatable. The objection for this group of people would be that, what if my checking account balance, I don't even have 2.5% of my blown up 401k. I don't even have it. Then they'll say, write it down, calculate it, note it down. When it matures, at that point, you give for the past years. Just like the debts. Remember, people owe you money? You have to give for the past years, the strong debt? It's like that. When you get it, give for the past years. That's what they say. So I gave you all the three fatwas. Zayd has $400. I believe this is the last. These are easy ones. Zayd has 400 in the bank. Is that zakatable? No. His wife has 40,000 in gold and silver. How much zakat is he obligated to pay? He's not. Yeah, that was the trick here, right? He's not obligated to pay. He can be a good husband and try to help her out, but I mean, he's not really in a position to help much, right? So if the husband is paying zakat on behalf of the wife, that's to help her but it's not farad on the husband. Okay? Wife would have to pay. If she has 40,000 and what if she says she doesn't have cash? I know that's the worst adab, the alim, to sell the gold.
There you go.
She would have to sell one small ring, not too much, inshallah. It's 2.5. You are when you give 2.5, then how much are you keeping?
That's not going to happen, right?
97.5 is for you.
Yeah, but she's not going to sell the gold.
Yeah, so huh? Yeah.
She's never going to sell the gold.
Yeah, I know, no.
Sell the gold, she's going to make me pay anyway.
Zainab has $10,000 in the bank, zakatable. Gold that she wears worth 50,000 and silver that she's not worth 1,000. It's all zakatable. Diamonds worth 30,000, not zakatable. Okay, and then that's it. So alhamdulillah, it comes to an end. We covered most of the stuff. I skipped a few things that were not as important. There are going to be a lot of questions people have. So before I move into that, I just wanted to say that this is on our website. We have masjidds.org/question. So we have muftis that are waiting, standby. They answer your questions. Any particular detailed questions you have, you can also schedule a meeting with them. This is also our zakat calculator. Where you can just fill it in and it will make it easy for you because it has. Can you see the screen? How do you make this full screen? I'm the green dot. Yeah, I'm not an Apple guy. I'm not so high tech. Imam Sahib is Apple. I'm just a simple IBM guy. PC. They used to call him not IBM. The normal. Yeah. I got it. I think so, right? So I just want to show you this calculator. You can go on here, subhanallah, everything. How do you maximize this? It's not touch screen, right? Okay. No, I wanted to open it more. So you fill it in. Zoom. Yeah. Can you zoom in a little bit? Control. Oh, it's not yours. How do you zoom in on Mac? So you just fill this in. Yeah. There's the formula works inside. You choose whether you want gold, nisab, or silver. Okay. Based on that, you put your cash in hand. You put your balance held in bank accounts. Put your checking account, saving business, resale value of shares if you have any, resale investment property, market value. If you have a retirement plan, business inventory, gold and silver jewelry, gold and silver bullion, debts owed to you, and accounts receivable. People are going to pay you. That's your total assets. This is a summary of the whole PowerPoint, practically. Liabilities, short-term debts that you owe your neighbor or friend. Long-term debts, you just put 1 month mortgage payment, 1 month car payment, 1 month student loan payment. This month expenses, rent, utilities, credit card bills of this month only. Wages you owe other employees for this month. That's your total liabilities. Total zakat of assets. And then it will calculate it for you and it will give you the nisab. So it makes it so much easier. I personally spent a lot of time with our website team to work on this in the back end and get all the formulas right. So alhamdulillah, this is a very nice, it doesn't, and no one's data is stored. Nothing, we're not going to track you with the IP address and figure out, anything. Okay, so you can reject all cookies. Okay. So then, and nobody gets anything. You're not entering your credit card information or anything. It's just a free service. Because what's the agenda? The agenda is called something Jannah, thawab. We hope to get thawab. People are like, really? Like sometimes like we go do different programs and then so you have a contract. You're going to sell something? No. You're going to have people recruiting them for some program? No. You're charging anything? No. So literally, board members of different masajid, they're like, I fail to understand. What's the agenda? Then I'm like, there's something called Jannah, Thawab. Ever heard of that? Right? We want to please Allah Ta'ala. Da'wah. Okay. So this is pay zakat now. You can pay it to if you want to pay to the students zakat scholarship. That's an option, but you don't have to. So this is subhanallah a tool I wanted to highlight. Now, any other questions? Were we doing Slido or is overtime? I don't know how it works. Whatever Imam Sahib says. Yes.
Can we schedule, say I want to get that 1:70 during Ramadan, but somebody, the receiver, beneficiary has a surgery down the road. Can I schedule that to pay him?
Yeah, you can make it's called azlu mal zakat. You take out the money of zakat and put it aside in Ramadan, and then you give it to, but you make the niyyah that this belongs to that individual, and then you're holding it on their behalf, and then you give it to them when they need it. Yeah, you can disperse throughout the year. Yeah.
I have a question about, the way you broke down the mortgage, what a person owes for a mortgage and how, you only want to deduct the monthly payment. But then when it came to 401k, you're saying people should count the entire value of the 401k. Why not also be able to have the person assign what was contributed for the 12-month period?
Yeah, because you don't only it's not only your money what you contributed that year. It's your money that you have put in the bank in the past too. It's just like a bank. That's your money. That's all being invested for you. And it's all being reinvested every year. And hopefully it's growing. And you own the entire amount. So it's different. Yeah, it's your wealth. Yes?
The question is, if somebody intends to give zakah
No.
and it is given to another party, which is not the final recipient,
Okay.
like it could be an individual,
Right.
or it could be
Organization.
or an organization, but that's not been dispersed
Uh-huh.
to the end,
Yes.
the person who is receiving.
Yes.
So when is the obligation complete from the person, from the zakat obligation complete?
Yes, so a person has given the zakat money to someone to give it to some aid agency, or he has given it to someone. So he has fulfilled his obligation by. You have dispensed it from your side. You have to do the due diligence to ensure that person is not going to take the money himself. But if that person is a representative of the needy individual, yeah, so in that case you have discharged your duty, and your zakat, you have fulfilled your obligation at that point, because you have given it to the person who is going to give it to the. If he, yes, fulfilled. If that person is like the zakat, the person who's mustahiq and deserving of zakat money, if he sends someone to collect it on his behalf, or he's representing the mustahiq.
Let it be specific so that my daughter gave me money for her zakat money to be dispersed, right? And I had to find people basically to disperse, and I part of it was not dispersed immediately. I was looking, basically, obviously.
Doing due diligence, yeah.
Yeah, so that it reaches back. So when is that obligation? Her obligation?
Her obligation is fulfilled when she gave it to a trusted individual.
She gave it
Yeah.
the moment I got the money.
Yeah, her obligation is fulfilled. Like Khuda na khasta, may Allah give her long life. But if she passes away, then she will not be. She will not have a debt in her estate to give zakat money once again, because she has given it. Yes, yeah, exactly. It has left her milkiyat. Yes.
Can you give zakat in assets other than cash?
Yes, absolutely. You can give zakat in cash or kind. So, like you go to Indo-Pak and you just buy auto rickshaws. So you give it to the person, and then they can drive it around and make money with it. You can buy blankets and medicines with zakat money and give that. Yes.
Cash on hand.
Yeah.
How should we calculate that?
Cash on hand is you add up the summation of whatever money you have in your bank accounts, and if you have black or white. If you have black under your mattress, you have to count that.
The day of paying the zakah or whole year, how should we calculate?
No, on your due date, whatever you have, as we talked about in the calendar, right? Okay.
About 1 month of, we are deducting 1 month. So
The-
what is the reason behind it?
Because that's a current debt. That's a debt you owe. You have to pay that debt this month,
Not the whole year.
not the whole amount. Yes. Because remember we talked about that. If you start deducting the amount of the whole year, then
Not the whole amount, but
even the 1 year, yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Just to follow up on the question from Brother Ira, we have a zakah box in the masjid and we have a zakah committee. So people put their zakah money,
Yeah.
put it online.
They have fulfilled their obligation, but it's the obligation on the zakat committee now. They're responsible to ensure that they give it.
I was going to ask you any advice for the zakah committee because there's always a lag time to evaluate cases.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, so we can have a closed meeting with them about that. Inshallah. Yes.
So on the 401k, so the money is based in stocks, right?
Yes.
And some of this is shares in Urud Tijara and some are assets like the buildings.
Yes.
So what do we calculate?
That's, yeah, very good. So basically, if you have a stock in Apple, so it includes the property that Apple owns, their office, their headquarters, that's non-zakatable, and then they have iPhones and iPads, that's zakatable. Because so you would do that calculation if you have a share in the restaurant, if you have a share with a business partner, you're the sleeping partner, he's the active partner, because you're holding on to that. Then you divide up the zakatable and non-zakatable part of the business. But over here, you bought this share in Apple with the intention to sell it. So the value of the whole share, it becomes like a urud al-tijara, like you're buying and selling shares. So at that point, you don't calculate it. If you are holding on to it long term and you're never planning, you just want to be a part of owner of Apple, and you are not planning to ever sell. Is there something like that where you're never ever going to sell? In that case, then you only pay zakat on your dividends, and you would have to do a calculation, go into the books and figure out how much assets, how much of the assets as Apple are zakatable and non-zakatable, and you would have to do that, which would be very hard, but can be potentially done, right?
I mean, you could own 100 shares of 100 companies. If you go calculating that, you'll spend half a year doing calculations.
No, if it's 100 different companies.
Yeah, I mean, let's say you buy a mutual fund.
Yeah, so exactly, that's why I'm saying with mutual funds, the purpose of the mutual fund is to buy and sell it. Hopefully buy low and hopefully sell high. So that means the value of the entire mutual fund is zakatable. You don't have to worry about percentages. Just keep the whole value. You only have to worry about zakatable versus non-zakatable part of the business when it is like some small little business, some landscaping business, some laundromat business, some, I don't know, hardware business, no? Convenience store, grocery store, meat store.
And Amana Mutual Fund, they say if you would like, you can download the Zakat part of it in video. So
Yeah, okay. Imam Sahib, can you want to, yes, you want to conclude it? Yeah. Yeah, we have his work, we've seen it, yeah. Alhamdulillah, Jazakumullah khairan, you are an amazing audience. Apologize for any technical difficulty. And let's conclude with the dua. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى ال سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى ال محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم اجعل اجتماعنا هذا اجتماعا مرحوما واجعل تفرقنا بعده تفرقا معصوما ولا تدع فينا ولا منا ولا معنا شقيا ولا محروما اللهم إنا نسألك إيمانا كاملا ويقينا صادقا وتوبة نصوحا وتوبة قبل الموت وراحة عند الموت ومغفرة بعد الموت والعفو عند الحساب والفوز بالجنة والنجاة من النار اللهم انصر إخواننا المستضعفين في فلسطين اللهم انصرهم اللهم ثبت أقدامهم اللهم صبرهم صبرا جميلا اللهم كن معهم وليا ونصيرا اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية والمعافاة الدائمة في الدين والدنيا والآخرة ونعوذ بك من كل بلاء الدنيا وعذاب الآخرة. Oh Allah, accept these brothers and sisters who so late on a working day sat in your house to learn the deen. Oh Allah, this is their ardent desire to want to learn the deen and to practice it. Make it easy for all of us to learn the Sharia, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Oh Allah, we have spent 12 years in high school, 4 years in bachelor's and master's and postgrad, and we continued education in our fields. Oh Allah, for our worldly needs we have studied so much, but when it comes to the deen, oh Allah, we have neglected the knowledge of deen. Oh Allah, forgive us for our crime, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Oh Allah, you have revealed the Quran for our guidance, yet we have not taken the time to understand what you have said, what you have revealed to us. Oh Allah, allow us to learn the Quran, to learn the meaning of the Quran, to learn the hadith, to learn the deen. The obligation upon us, if not the entire deen, at least that which applies to our lives. Oh Allah, give us tawfiq to learn and to practice, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Oh Allah, on the day of judgment, you will ask, عَنْ عِلْمِهِ مَاذَا عَمِلَ بِهِ, how much knowledge of deen was acquired and how much of that we practice upon. Allow us to be successful in this test, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Oh Allah, the month of Ramadan is approaching. Make it the best month of Ramadan for us ever in our lives, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Make it an opportunity for us to come close to you and forgive our sins and secure our place in Jannatul Firdaus al-A'la مع النبيين والصديقين والشهداء والصالحين غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين يا رب العالمين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين الحمد لله.